Hi everybody, Mike with Newfound Past here with episode 50. For those of you that are new here, I've been in the flipping world for over 20 years. Started in the late 90s on eBay and Amazon. We had two 10,000 square feet retail stores for about 10 years. We sold those, moved out to the East Coast, and been flipping online full time for almost 3 years now. So episode 50 obviously is a little bit special, so I'm doing something a little bit different. You know, this is my first time on camera, but I am here to answer all your questions that you submitted on the request video. So we're going to do that today. So I want to thank everyone that watches our videos and submitted questions. I have them all pulled up right here, and we're just going to start at the beginning and go through them. And the first one is from Glow Spirit. And they ask, would you ever consider a video detailing ways to recognize vintage clothing? You know, that's a big that's a doozy. But yeah, sure. My wife was actually doing vintage clothing way back in the 90s, like when eBay first started. And our second eBay account is actually that account of hers that she was doing that on. And there's a lot of different things with vintage clothing. One, obviously, the big one is the look. You can't go strictly off that, though, because these clothing companies now have gotten good at copying the look of vintage clothing. So there's several other things that, a lot of it's experience, unfortunately. But one thing is feel. The fabric, it was just a lot beefier back in the day. And my wife and I were talking earlier today about an LL Bean hoodie she wears, about how, good quality it is. It's thick, it's heavier and stuff. Well, back in the 70s and 80s when we were kids, a Hanes, a Fruit of the Loom, a BVD, a Wigwam, or whatever brand that you could buy at Kmart, Walmart, and stuff was the same quality as the LL Bean stuff is now. So quality of fabric is one thing. If you watch my haul videos and sold videos, just the style, the font on the tags themselves just look old. Made in USA. Doozy. It's very rare that or modern clothing is made in USA now. A lot of vintage clothing was made in USA. Something that I don't have examples here, but again, I do point it out in my other videos, is the stitching. Modern clothing has usually zigzag stitching, serge stitching. My wife is the the camera person. Serge stitching, and in vintage clothing you'll see single stitch, so it'll be in a straight line all the way across. Another one is what I call, it may be wrong, but I call rib knit. It's because it's along your ribs.
No, that's not right.
It's probably not right, but that's the way I remember it. In all modern clothing, in this shirt too, there's a seam all the way down the side. A lot of vintage clothing, especially t-shirts.
Tube knit.
What?
It's called tube knit.
Tube knit, yeah, I knew it was rib knit, tube knit. But they don't have the seam down the side because it's tube knit, it's in a tube. They don't have the tags on the inside on the side like modern clothing does either. So there's a lot of different factors, but it's experience, unfortunately, most of it. But there are some keys you can hit off of. Heavier duty hardware, heavier duty zippers. That Canadian vintage Canadian leather jacket coat I sold, the zipper on it was massive. They don't make zippers like that anymore at all. So a lot of different things on that one. So go to the next question. Let's see here. This is from Unclaimed Storage Treasures. Cool name. I've done storage unit auctions back in the past. I was cleaning out this was just this was talking about satellite receivers. Haven't sold a lot of them. I've sold new ones, but the way I understand it, most of them are safe because the subscription and stuff is on the card and the satellite receivers, but I'm not an expert on those at all. So if they're new in the box, go for them. Next one we have. Another one about vintage clothing. NASCOke, talking about how they made money on reselling cigar ashtrays. Cigar ashtrays are money in the bank. Never knew about that until we told them. How about telling us a little bit more about vintage tags on Nike, Levi's jeans, and any others you have success with? I bought a coat today and found the tag in the pocket. Yeah, if something's reversible, the tags are going to be in the pocket. That's a pretty big clue. Is if the tag's in the pocket, it's probably reversible. Probably. So vintage, Nike is getting super, super tricky because Nike is going super retro on their new clothing. They're bringing back their old emblems. They're bringing back their old tag styles, the whole deal. So again, like I just talked about before, it's all about fabric quality, and the fabrics they even use, more modern fabrics, are usually these blends and stretchy fabrics, thinner fabrics. Whereas back in the day, Nike stuff, I sold an Air Jordan sleeveless Nike shirt that was vintage from the 90s. It was thicker. You could just tell. You could just feel it. It was just thicker. So Nike's getting trickier. Levi's are more about where they were made. If they were made in the USA, if they were made in Egypt, if they were made in Mexico, those are pretty much vintage now. All of Levi's modern stuff is Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Cambodia, China even, So Levi's, it's more about where it was made. And the fabric's going to be better. They're just better made. Their inseams were stitched thicker and heavier duty. The denim was heavier weight, the whole deal. They didn't stretch back in the day. Now, like even my favorite Levi's that I'm wearing right now, they're stretchy. They're all bigger. But they're just more comfortable, but a lot of people like that just old school raw denim Levi's. But the Levi's, people ignore jeans a lot, and Levi's, there's a lot of money to be made in them. I sell them all the time. In my last sold video, there was 2 pair that sold for $60. So yeah.
You want to talk about Levi tags and how they've gotten thinner?
Yeah, Levi tags. Everyone knows about the Big E, right? On Levi's, I've never even found them. They're so, because that's really, when you find on the red tag, not the big tag, but the little red tag, Levi is spelt out. And got a prop here. Oh, and this one doesn't even have Levi on it, but on this tag usually there's Levi spelt out. I think we got another pair here. Yeah, can you see this? Levi is spelt out, and that E is a lowercase e. And if that is a all caps E, you're in the money. But in here on the tags where they was made, like these are made in Lesotho. It's a more of a modern Levi's, so I must have got these for next to nothing, And if you look in these aren't too bad actually. It's a butterfly inseam. So these aren't that bad of quality. But these are made in I think these are made in Egypt, so these were a little bit of older pair. Obviously the tag is all worn out and beat to death.
I've got another tip on the Levi's.
All right. And see how the other one was butterflied and this one is surged.
It's not a lay flat seam.
Yeah. Okay. So Bobby has a tip.
On the leather tags, when they're stitched all the way around, all 4 sides are stitched, it's going to be newer. If you remember back in the 80s. Oh yeah,
you'd be able to do the loop, the belt through. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, back in the day they left that on the, I don't know about the paper tags, but yeah. Anyway, there's experts out there in denim, that's all they do. And it's there's so many nuances and the difference between regular denim and selvage denim and vintage Levi's and modern Levi's and the inseam stitching and the red stitch and all. There's like so many. Could do a whole video by itself. And but there's other resources out there. Just Google it and yeah. Okay, what other there was on here? Yeah, you found, okay. Here's several questions here from Deb Lurch. One, oh yeah, this is a doozy. Okay, she says that eBay, I don't know how new your account is, Deb, on eBay, but you say that eBay keeps changing your listings from buy it now to best offer. You feel like your items are competitively priced and you have to take times taking the best offer off. As soon as I get these done, they do it again. Any strategies to stop this madness? Unfortunately, no, there's no. You just have to keep on changing it, because what it is, if you have a newer eBay account, eBay wants to force you to take best offers. Even like my main account, they don't do it to because it's old, it's established, it's an unlimited account. The second account they don't do it to because it's old, it's established. Our third account that we just started, they do it to. Doesn't matter that it's the same seller, it's a new account, they change. But just if you don't want to take best offers and stuff, and I don't like taking best offers either, just keep on changing them. But if you have a store, bulk edit is your friend. That way you don't have to go to each individual listing and change it. You go to your active listings page and there's a place for bulk editing, and you can bulk edit not accepting best offers and all those. And that's what I do. And question number 2 from Deb is, what is the best way to research items to find the best keywords and descriptors? It's a good question. Practice, yeah. There's if I go back and look at stuff from when I even started hardcore selling again just 3 years ago, it's awful. What you want to do is keep your name brands and what the models and what it is at the beginning of your listing. If it's a pair of Levi's, you want to put Levi's, Levi Strauss and Company, even if you want to do that. The model, if they're 501s, and jeans. And then you want to get into your adjectives and your descriptors if there's more room. So Levi Strauss Company, jeans, 550. And then get into, okay, these are vintage, these are button fly, these are made in Egypt, these are made in USA, all that stuff. And avoid special characters. You don't have to use commas, you don't have to use apostrophes, you don't have to use dashes. That's just taking up space you can use for your descriptors. So hope that kind of answers that, but it's seeing what has been, it's using that formula and searching the sold items. Okay, and question number 3 from Deb is, eBay's changed all my listings to good till canceled. The same deal. Bulk edit. It's pretty onerous with new accounts, and I found that out the hard way with our third account. Yeah, it's persistence. Okay, and question from Fawn is, with so many other online sell sites, example Poshmark, Etsy, how do you stay relevant since eBay is considered an older site? I enjoy your channel and seeing your finds. Everybody likes the new toy. For me, there's no comparison on sales from eBay to all the other sites. They all have their niche, they all have their place, and it's always good to not have your eggs in one basket. The only one that even compares to the sales volume of eBay is Amazon. Amazon FBA, if you want to be specific. But the drawback, okay, the positives of Amazon is stuff sells, especially around holidays. If you want to pay their storage fees, you can send them an unlimited amount of stuff, unlimited amount of inventory. Negatives about Amazon is their storage fees, which are going up and up and up, and their fees in general, over 20% most of the time for their fees. And returns. Amazon, you just get, at least me, and the only thing I would send to FBA is new stuff. I wouldn't send any used stuff to Amazon FBA when I was doing it. I would send all new stuff, and returns were just awful. So that's why I primarily, if I do still do Amazon, but I do merchant fulfilled, which really, merchant fulfilled is not that even comparable to fulfillment by Amazon. So the other sites like Poshmark, I am on Poshmark. Poshmark is obviously just doesn't have the traffic of eBay, at least for me, not even close. I cross post the same stuff, eBay and Amazon. eBay still crushes Poshmark sales wise. Poshmark, people extreme lowball, and I don't have an option to opt out of that. If I want $50 for something, I want $50 for something. That's just the way I sell. I've talked about it before. I'm a slow dime person. Somebody may need their capital back and is a quick nickel person. I don't mind taking my time and getting what I think is an appropriate price out of an item. But Poshmark, extreme low ballers, so that gets a little bit annoying, you know, with that. But if you're okay with taking offers, Poshmark is all right for you. Etsy, niche, you know, I list some vintage stuff on there. Sales aren't that great, you know, but I do, you know, sell stuff every once in a while on there. But it's just, again, just there's nothing that compares to the volume of eBay. And whether that's good or bad, that's up to you. So, anything else?
Yeah, eBay has that brand longevity that the other ones don't.
Yeah, eBay's been around. I mean, Amazon, when they started, they were strictly books. You remember that? I sold books on there. eBay had half.com that was strictly books. Amazon was strictly books before they shifted into this other stuff. But eBay's just sent from the get-go. The first thing ever sold on eBay, I think, was a broken Pez dispenser or something. It's crazy. But they've been around forever. I remember back in the 90s selling all the time on there. You know, I'd sell for friends and family, and that was back in the day. I had to take, you know, checks through the mail and wait 3 weeks for them to clear, you know, and that kind of stuff. Even money orders, they, you know, pretty quick money orders, people would start sending fake money orders, so you'd have to even wait on money orders to clear. But yeah, longevity, been around forever. It's hard to beat that. I think that's good. Yeah. Now obviously, if you guys have any follow-up questions, just comment on the video and we can follow up. Where was that other question? Oh yeah, here's from Denise's Picks. Hi Denise. So congrats on your 50th episode. Would you consider talking about your retail stores that you had? Why you sold them? Were they a good way to make money? Well, hope you got some time, Denise. When back in the 90s, when I was doing eBay, it wasn't a full-time gig. It was barely a part-time gig. You know, I worked just like everyone else. But eventually I went back to college, got my degree. Now, degrees. But when I met who is now my wife and moved to Missouri, kind of trying to find my way. You know, I'd worked in project management, and you know, I actually even took a job selling shoes at Dillard's, you know, in Missouri, just to make ends meet. And I'm like, there's got to be something better. There's got to be a better way. And my wife and I quickly found out we both always had liked auctions and going to garage sales and stuff. And pretty soon we, you know, was selling a little bit of stuff on eBay, not as a living. But she was like, oh, I know this cool flea market in town. And we went to the flea market and we're like, hey, we could sell stuff. Look at these people selling this junk, you know. So we rented a booth at this flea market. Actually, I think we first did it at an antique mall. And then we did it at the flea market. So we had 2 booths and stuff. You know, and it was okay. You know, wasn't making great money or anything, but making some money. The flea market we in was a pit. It was filthy. It was dirty. It was cluttered. It was crowded.
But it was cheap.
Poorly ran. But it was cheap. And we were talking to the owner lady one day. I think, you know, we were picking up our check or seeing what we had sold or whatever, and she was just done. You could kind of tell. And I was like, you ever think about selling this place, you know? And she was like, yes. And pretty much immediately she was like, yes. And I'm like, well, how much you want for it? And So we worked out a deal, and we took over that place. And before we did our due diligence, and we knew the place was bankrupt. It was. I don't think the lady that owned it had another 6 months in it before she was going to have to close the doors. Now, she did have some kind of more well-off parents that may have bailed her out. I don't know. But she was happy to be out of it. And we, like I said, struck a deal and we took over. So, like I said, it wasn't making any money. It was losing money from day one. But from day one, we went in there and we cleaned, we organized, we cleaned some more, and we organized some more. I repaired scores of lights. Their light bulbs were out, light ballast were burnt out. I became a professional at replacing lights all the time, because this was a 50-year-old building, and just needed maintenance. Bathrooms were wrecked, lights were out, carpet was awful. But yeah, we rehabbed it, and we worked at it, and we worked at it, and yeah, turned it around. And by year 2, we were making money. By year 3, we were making good money. Not to get rich by any stretch. We weren't making millions of dollars off this by any stretch, but a good full-time living, yeah, good full-time living. But the strategy of this store was vendors, was dealers, what we called them, dealer booths, renting out. Basically, I owned this store, 10,000 square feet, which we leased, of course. And all these booths were built up, 8x10s and bigger and smaller, and showcase space and all this stuff. You've probably been to places like this before. It's not a new concept. But that's where we made our money, is the dealer rents. And that's what she charged. She was cheapest in town. It was all pretty much about the same. There was 3 or 4 dealer malls in this town when we took over. By the time the 10 years was up, there was like 8 dealer malls in this town. Everybody wanted in on the action. But that's where you make your money, is the dealer rents. So, and this lady was so bizarre in that she warned us, you don't want to compete with your dealers. As in, you don't want to go be competing with them at auctions to buy stuff to sell in the store. And we're like, oh, that makes sense. Well, she would do that. She would literally bring in big furniture and put it in front of people's booths, blocking it off. And then she wondered why she couldn't keep dealers. It was so bizarre. So the store became, I did still sell stuff on my own, but I tried not to compete with dealers. Now, whether that was a good decision or not, I don't know. But it did work out. And we would still go to, what we would do when we bought our stuff was we would go a couple hours away to garage sales and visit family in other towns and pick up some stuff and bring back. And, have our own little booth, not put our crap in other people's areas like she would do. So the dealers were ecstatic when we took over. We weren't blocking their space. We would clean the place up and all this stuff. But dealers have short memories, just like everyone does. Pretty soon, these dealers have been going off the same rent. This place had been, when we bought this business, it had been there for about 15 years, established as a business. She was the second owner, or third owner. She was the third owner, and we were the 4th owners of this place. And it had been there for 15 years. So everyone knew what this place was in town. And like I said, we came in, cleaned it up, and the rents hadn't been raised for these vendors ever. They were still paying the same rate. So when we cleaned things up and we started, did all new contracts for these vendors one year and raised things up, of course there was some everybody, but everybody was they were okay. It's not like we raised it 20% even. It was just a little raise, like a quarter a square foot, literally. But and then another few years passed, and we were basically had been eating the cost of like credit card processing fees, and and that's about, and depending on the credit card, it can run you usually 2 to 3%, sometimes a little bit more, but depending on if it's a reward card, a credit card, a debit card. So we've been eating that cost, and as the building, what am I trying to say, leasers, we were responsible for the maintenance, everything except for like the HVAC units and the roof we were responsible for. And we paid the electric bill, we paid the gas bill, we did all the advertising and all this stuff. So we raised the rates a little bit. Finally, we implemented a 5% commission. 5%. If you've been a vendor at a bunch of these other places, the commissions are 10%, sometimes even 15%. If you buy something at an auction, commission's going to be even more than that, 30 or 40%. But or if you sell at an auction, not buy. If you buy, auction 10 to 15%, sell 30 to 40%. So we implemented the 5% fee to cover basically most of our credit card processing fees, and
the new software.
And we upgraded the computer software and the printers. When we bought this place, the computer was a DOS-based system, not a Windows, DOS-based system with a dot matrix printer. And this was in 2005 or 6. So Windows was a thing. DOS-based system, dot matrix printer. And we made that work for a couple years. This is a constant struggle. I was always found, I eventually found a printer, a brother printer that would work with this old DOS-based system, so we didn't have to deal with the dot matrix printer. But eventually we upgraded the whole system, whole new software, printers, everything. Money. But it worked better. It was more efficient. It was more powerful. People could check their sales online. They could do all kinds of stuff, There was no less printer jams and good stuff. So we upgraded everything from the lights, carpeting, computer systems, rearranged everything, newer showcases, paint, ceiling tiles. We did it all. So try to ease the rents up on people. It was still like pulling teeth. And dealers nonstop, if they had 3 or 4 booths, they think they were the kings of the world, and they would want a discount. And sometimes I'd work a deal with someone. If someone has a big amount of rent, I'm like, okay, I'll work a deal with you. Okay, and then the same vendor comes back the next week and goes, why aren't you advertising more? Because you just beat me up on the rent nonstop, and I don't have any money. And this is the honest to God's truth, and I'm not lying about this at all, because I have no reason to. I don't own the stores anymore. We sold them, made money off of it, which you should after you turn a business around. But sometimes big vendors would make more money than we would in a month. Now, whether that's right or wrong or whatever, I look at it as in we were doing right by them, but they weren't doing right by us. But is it my fault? Is it their fault? Who knows? Bottom line is we did all make money, but sometimes they made more than we did. Anything else I should cover about the stores?
We can do more later if they have more questions.
I could, and I have stories about this store. I mean, everything from having to throw someone physically out to break-ins, people breaking our windows. We had alarm systems and everything. I'll tell you a story about one time. I don't know if I want to tell it now, but I'll tell you the story about the one time when the alarm company ignored a glass breakage sensor, and our window sat there broken all night long. In the winter. Isn't that fun? And yet it wasn't their fault. So I paid this alarm security this company for 10 years, and I still don't know why, because they never really helped anything. But anyway, I think that was all the questions. Yeah, it was. So anything else? I think that's it, guys. So how long are we at?
We are at 28 minutes.
28 minutes, that's plenty. I'm lucky I haven't had to cough or because I'm still getting over this cold. But I want to thank everyone, our new subscribers, especially our patrons. You guys are awesome. But anyway, we'll see you guys this Tuesday with our haul video.